Hey, everybody. Okay, so have you ever felt like you need some kind of secret decoder ring to understand what's going on in the world today?
Oh, yeah, I know that feeling.
Right. It's like what's real and what's not, what's spin, like what's going on.
Yeah, you need like a guidebook or something,
Yeah, exactly.
like a cheat sheet.
Well, that's kind of what we're doing in today's deep dive. We're going to try to decode some seriously complex stuff.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
So we're going from like ancient literature to modern politics. And yeah, I'm not even kidding. We might even run into some robots along the way.
Ancient literature and robots. This is my kind of deep dive.
So to get us started, we're going to be looking at this Vanity Fair article.
Okay.
It's about Emily Wilson.
Oh, I know her. She's amazing.
Yeah. So she's this total rock star translator of the Iliad.
Right.
Have you read her translation?
I have. It's fantastic.
I know. I've heard it's really, really good.
Yeah.
And it's making waves, not just because it's like a great translation, but because of how people are reading it, especially people in the political world. Okay, so get this, right?
Okay.
Usha Vance, J.D. Vance's wife.
Right.
She was seen out on the campaign trail reading Wilson's Iliad.
What do you think she's getting from it?
Well, that's what's so interesting. I mean, she went to Yale, right? She's a total history buff. So it's like, what is she seeing in this ancient epic?
It's fascinating, isn't it? Because the Iliad, I mean, it's not just about battles and heroes. It's about these power struggles. It's about control over women. It's about what happens when you can't accept a loss.
Yeah, it's hefty stuff. And, Wilson, in her translation, she actually draws some pretty direct connections between those themes.
Really?
Yeah, well, what we're dealing with today, she talks about how the fight over women's bodies that you see in the Iliad.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's mirrored in the debates about reproductive rights.
Makes you think, huh?
And especially with J.D. Vance's views.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, okay, what's going on here?
Oh, yeah, totally. And Achilles, right, his whole thing about refusing to accept defeat.
Yeah.
Wilson kind of compares that to some, let's just say, certain political figures.
Certain figures who maybe haven't been so graceful about conceding elections.
Exactly. I mean, she's not naming names, but she's basically saying these patterns, these toxic behaviors, they've been around forever.
Right. Right. It's like human nature or something.
It's like we're still wrestling with the same stuff.
Yeah. And it's all playing out in this ancient text.
Wow.
But here's where things get even crazier. Okay, so some conservatives are now taking the Iliad, right?
Yeah.
And they're using it and other classic works as these allegories for modern times.
No, interesting. So it's like they're finding a way to connect ancient stories to today's issues.
Exactly. And that's where it gets tricky, right? Because are they really finding this deep meaning in these old texts? Or is it more about pushing a particular agenda?
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to say for sure. It's a fine line, isn't it?
It is a fine line, especially with social media in the mix. Because these interpretations can spread like wildfire, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And they can get amplified and distorted, It's like a whole other layer of complexity.
Definitely. And it makes you wonder about the role of social media in all of this.
Right. And how much of it is authentic. Because Wilson, she actually had this great quote about the whole thing. She said, half of them are probably robots. I can't really comment on the psychology of bots.
Oh, that's classic.
I know. But it's true, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, but it also gets to the heart of the issue.
Right.
Are we even having a real conversation?
Yeah. Are we just pawns in some kind of online chess game with ancient texts as the pieces?
It's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it.
It really is. I mean, so where does this leave us? If we can interpret even these ancient stories in so many different ways.
Yeah.
How do we make sense of the world we live in now?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It really is. How do we sift through all the information?
And figure out what's real.
Exactly. What to believe? I mean, these are some big questions.
They are. And I think the first step is just being aware of how these interpretations are being used.
Right. You can't just passively take in everything you see, especially online.
Yeah, you've got to engage critically, ask questions, think about who's saying what and why.
Yeah, totally. What's their motivation? What are they trying to achieve?
Exactly.
So what do you guys think?
Yeah, we want to hear from you.
We want to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment below. Let's have a conversation about this, right?
Yes, let's get a discussion going.
And while you're at it, why not hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the stuff that matters?
We'll see you next time.
Bye, everybody.